Hello, Assalamu alaikum, greetings and welcome to Learning Economics. Also, welcome to our series Data Analysis using R. In today's lecture, we shall talk about missing values. Dear viewers and listeners, we have already learned about the missing values earlier. However, now it is time to advance our learnings and see what can be done with the missing values. So let's start with a different representation of missing value that we come across when we perform some mathematical operation that has an indeterminate result. And this representation is NaN or NaN. Let's see it on RStudio screen. So let's say if I ask R to divide 0 by 0, it returns to NaN or not a number. Similarly, if I ask it to subtract infinite minus infinite, we write it with capital I and it returns to NaN or not a number. Similarly, if I ask it to get me the square root of say -1, it returns to NaN or not a number. All other operations and everything else on NaN is very much same to Na. This is just a different representation. With this, now let's move to eliminating the missing values. Dear viewers and listeners, there are different ways and different views about how to eliminate the missing values from your data. And all of these views do carry some weight. Therefore, we will learn about all of them and then it will be more on the situation, on the question that we are having or we are solving with the help of analysis and the data that we have as what tool to be used and how to tackle the missing value. So the first method that we are going to learn is filling the missing values or eliminating the missing values by replacing them with the previous value or with the preceding value. So let's again go to RStudio screen and see how we can do this. First, let me load tidyverse to our library. Okay, now it has loaded. Let me create a data frame called as treatment using table function. I create a column of name and I give it a list of names, say John, say NA, that is missing values, say David, and say Nana. In the next column, I name it as treat and I give it values, for example, 1, 3, 4, and missing values. And in the next column, I call it as response. I give it values such as 2, missing value, and then let's say 9. So here we have created the data frame. Let's view it. View treatment. And here we have this data frame with some missing values in each of the column. We can fill these missing values using fill function. So how to use this fill function? Let's see. We use this treatment data frame and use this pipe function. And we ask it to fill and we say it to fill everything in this data. So what it returns to? So it has filled the missing value in the names column with its preceding value, that is with John. Similarly, in the treatment column, it has filled it with the preceding value as well as in the response column. This treatment is sometimes called as lost observation carried forward, or LOCF for short. Now let's see how to fill the missing values with some specific value. For example, if we have a vector say x which has values say 4, 10, then a missing value, and then let's say 20. And we want to fill this missing value with any number, let's say 0. For this, we can use coalesce function. So using coalesce function, we need to first give the name of the column in which there is a missing value, for example, x over here, and then we need to give the value that we want to be replaced instead of the missing values. So let's say I want 12 over here. So it returns me to 4, 10, 12, and 20. The class function can also be used with the mutate function. For example, if we use this previous data frame, which is treatment, we can use it and use the mutate function. Here we need to give the name of the variable. Let's say I want this response variable, and I want to use coalesce function. Here I need to give the uh, name of the column. So response, and need to give the value that must be there. Let's say the value should be 8, and I hope everything is fine. So it returns this as 2 followed by 8, 8, and 9. It has kept other missing values as they were. So this is one way we can fill the missing value with something specific. The other way is to use the replace underscore NA function, which also works in similar way. So for example, we have this treatment data frame, and we need to mutate this column, for example, name, and we use the replace underscore NA function. Here again, in a very similar way, we give the name of the column, which is name, followed by the value that we want here. For example, I want MANA, MWNA over here. So, and MANA is character. So I need to put it in within inverted commas. I hope everything is fine. Yeah. So it has replaced this missing value with MANA, which I provided, but this time we used replace underscore NA function. So this is how we can replace the missing value either with the preceding value or with some specific value. Now, sometimes we have an opposite problem in which we actually need to replace some value or some character with missing value. For example, you have a data set in which there is a column of age which records the age of the school going children, and you come across ages such as 5, 6, 6.5, 7, 8, and suddenly you come across an age 24. So you must be surprised that this 24 years of age is not a correct value for a school going children. So this must be replaced with a reasonable value. And if we do not have the actual value, then we should replace it with NA. How to do that? For this, we use function NA underscore if. For example, this time I am creating a variable, a vector y, in which I have values, for example, 4, 6.5, 7, and 5, and then I have, say, 29. So I have created this y vector, and I am saying that this 29 is a wrong entry. So I need to replace it with NA. So I will use NA underscore if function, and following the sequence, I need to give the name of the column, which is Y over here, I'm sorry, and then the value, which is 29. So it returns with all same values, but 29 is now replaced with NA. This can also be done with mutate function, as we did previously. For example, we say treatment, and using pipe function, we say mutate, and within mutate, we say, for example, response is equal to NA underscore if, and we name the column. For example, the column is response, and the value is, for example, 2. So it has replaced 2 with missing value. And this is how, if while looking at the data, we come across such an unreasonable value, we can replace it with NA as well. Now let's talk about implicit missing values. Implicit missing values are those which are hidden in the data set. That is, in the data set, we hardly see a value missing, but while we analyze it closely, we observe that there is some row or some column that should be there in the data, but it is not in the data. So all such missing values are called as implicit missing values. What we need to do is to make them explicit first, and then maybe we can replace them with the preceding value or with something specific, or we can even delete them from our dataset. But the first task is to make them explicit. Let's learn how to do this again on the RStudio screen. This time I'm creating a new data frame called stocks, and to save the time, I'm just copying that and pasting it over here. We are creating 3 columns: year, quarter, and price. And here we have, let me show that to you. So I say view stocks. Here you can observe that year 2020 has all 4 quarters, but year 2021 has value for quarter 2, 3, and 4, but not of quarter 1. So the entire row is missing over here. Now, how to make it explicit? One way is to pivot the table. And pivoting the table works in R in exactly the same way as it works in Excel. That is, it converts the longer data set into a wider data set. And by doing so, when the implicit missing values become explicit. So using stocks data set, we say it to pivot wider, and we say it to take the names from say quarter column and take the values from price column. And for year 2020, we have values for quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, and quarter 4's value in price is explicitly missing, so it returned with NA. But for the year 2021, the quarter 1 row is actually missing, so it has made that explicit as well. The other useful function in this regard is complete, which allows us to generate explicit missing values by providing a set of variables that define the combination of rows that should exist. For example, we know that all the combinations of year and quarter should exist in the stock data. So using complete function, we can make implicit missing values as explicit in this way. So we write year and we write quarter and we move. Sorry, it must be QTR. And now year 2020, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth value is explicitly missing. But for year 2021, it has generated all four quarters 1, 2, 3, 4. And since the quarter 1 row was missing, so it has replaced NA over here. Typically, we call complete function with the name of existing variables, filling in the missing combinations. However, sometimes the individual variables are themselves incomplete. So we can instead provide our own data. For example, you might know that the stock data is supposed to run from 2019 to 2021. So you could explicitly supply those values for year and it will generate those missing value itself. For example, we go into this previous and here we write year is equal to 2019, sorry, to 2022 followed by quarter. Now it returns, it generates year's value 1919, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. And since the value is not here, so it is generating NA. Then 2020, all four quarters. Okay, 2021, quarter 1, it was implicitly missing. It has added it. Similarly, year 1919 values for all four quarters were also implicitly missing and it has made them explicit. So that is all about today's lecture about the missing values. If you like our videos, do give a thumb up, do let us know in the comments and share our videos with your friends and family. So until the next video, take care of yourself and bye-bye.